So something I wanted to really talk about, because I hear it a lot talking to newer agents, as do Colton, and it was just something that was kind of top of mind for me, is having unrealistic goals, whether it's in the new year, whether it's being new into the industry. And as I've kind of reflected on this a little bit more, um, I don't want to tell anybody what's possible or not possible, right? So I kind of had a couple different points, but kind of changing it from unrealistic goals to unrealistic expectations. Okay.
Yeah, you're
So,
talking about false hope syndrome. Can't wait. Go
mm,
ahead. We'll get into
so
it.
something I had written down was just um, planning fallacy. Okay. If you've heard of this, it's like everyone underestimates, just in our human nature. We are positive. We want to think things are going to turn out great. We over our skills. We just over anticipate our abilities, right? So everything we do, whether we shake out or plan out, often it's going to take us 3 times as long, right? So that's one thing. When we come in, we're often underestimating. It's not that I'm trying to tell you that, hey, in your first year, making $500,000 is not possible. It's the fact that maybe you're not doing the amount of work necessary, or you don't have a good idea of the amount of work and the amount of time it's going to take
Let
to
me jump in right
accomplish
there.
that.
So this is exactly right, Ben. So check this out. This is what I just wrote down. This has to do, and you're right. We hear this every day, right? A real estate agent gets their license. This is when their optimism, their uninformed optimism, is at its
Yes.
highest point, right? They just can
Yep.
see across the tunnel. This is what I want. I'm so excited. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to whatever. The question is, well, it's not about what you want being right or wrong. It's a question of what are you willing to do.
Exactly.
It isn't that 500,000 is a problem. It's not a problem that if you make 500,000 in your first year, that that the fact is you'll be in the 1% of the 1%. We aren't
Yep.
saying that is not possible. That's not the question. Everybody wants that, right? It's not a lack of I want these results. Get it in
Absolutely.
line, motherfucker.
There's no difference between
There's no
people.
difference.
Everyone wants to do that.
It
Everyone
comes
has
down
big
to
goals.
the question, what are you willing to do?
Yep.
And the doing dictates the outcome. That's what we're saying.
That was my point too, was hunger, right? It just to that point. So a question I often like to ask people is, okay, you want to make, Brandon, you said $500,000 in your first year. Is that right?
Yep.
So let me ask you something. If you make $400,000, is that a problem?
I'd be ecstatic. No, that'd be great.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. So, what if you made $200,000?
Be amazing.
So $200,000 would not be a failure.
No, I'm only making 40 now.
Okay, so $100,000, like, just let me know, like, is 50 or is 100, like, when does it become a problem?
Yeah, I mean, probably less than 100. I think that's an issue.
Okay, so just so I understand, like, if you make $100,000 in your first year in real estate, are you gonna be happy? Is that gonna be okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So is $100,000, like, what's gonna help you get from 100 to $500,000, right? What's the difference if 100's where you need to be?
Well, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, and people give you all kinds of answers, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's like we got to have something way bigger, right, than just I want to make $500,000.
Yeah,
you got to
right.
really be attached to something outside the money.
Well,
ahead,
and too, we kind of, not to get off of what you're talking about, but just to foreshadow kind of with what I was wanting to talk about. You're focusing on the wrong thing, right? So there's two parts to this. When you're setting a goal, when most of the times when people setting a goal, they're doing what you just said. They're kind of setting a targeted hope, right? Like it's more concrete than like, oh, if I could do this. It's a little more concrete, but they're still open to the failure. And so they need to do what's called make a decision, right? And what that means isn't just, you decide. The root word of, I can't remember how to pronounce it, it's like decare or something, where it stems from, means to cut off. Right?
That's right.
So to cut off all other options and possibilities. And when you're just focusing on that big thing, the $500,000, the new house, the new this, the that, it's hard to then, be able to commit to what goes into accomplishing that. And so we'll get into my topic next, but you need to decide and cut off at any other possibility and focus on the right things.
That's right. And I think Brandon says standard all the time, right?
The standard. This isn't a matter, again, goal setting gone bad is simply focusing on the end result. When goal setting, with all the studies now, we all know that it isn't, again, we don't live in a society or a world where there's a lack of ambition. So the whole idea around goal setting is, like, this is the outcome I want. That's like step 0.1. The people that actually achieve the goal, and this is backed by lots of psychologists, is those people can envision, kind of going back to what we talked about before, doing the work that leads to those results. Because it's a question of what do I have to do, and that be the goal. Because watch this. I'm going to see if any one of you two can do this, all right? So without moving, staying put, okay, increase your heart rate. Go ahead. Is it up yet? Ben, Colton? Oh, you can't do it, can you? You can't look at Colton trying. That's awesome. Make your
holding your
liver,
breath over there?
I love it. Why don't you make your pancreas work a little bit better? Go ahead. Let me know when you got it. You can't. Ooh, it's an outcome.
Yeah.
But what we could do, if the goal, Ben, is to increase heart rate, what are the things that we can control? Oh, that's right. Get up, move, jumping jacks, go for a walk, go for a run, exercise, lift weights. That needs to be the focus. That's something tangible that the mind can wrap around. Am I making traction or not? When it's just an outcome and we haven't tied it to any type of action, that is when we fall into frustration, where we feel like we're on the hamster wheel. We're not getting closer. We're not making progress, and people quit.
So the last thing I had under this was exponential growth, right? So you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine.
100%.
So instead of focusing on that result, we're focusing on exactly what you said, the daily activities every single day. So something that, an illustration that I think is so cool is we focus so much on these big goals. I want to make this amount of money. And then we give up so quickly when we don't see evidence of what we want to achieve quick enough, right? So not to give too many stories today, but everybody knows okay, Colton, do you want $1 million today, or do you want a penny every day doubling for 30 days?
The penny.
Right?
Yep.
We all know that, right? But I think what's really, really cool to look at, which just ties in so well to character traits, right? Let's talk about prospecting, making videos. If you do the penny doubling every day for 27 days, you just stop 3 days shy. You're extremely short, right? So all of a sudden, instead of $1 million, which you could have gotten, if you do it for 27 days and then quit on the doubling, you're at $627,000.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you just do it for 10 days? All of a sudden, you're at $5.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? You do it for that activity for 10 days, right? So you're at $5, you do it for 20, and then you quit, you're at $5,200. But if you do it for 30 days, you're at $5,300,000.
Dude, it's the best story of all time. That's why one of my best favorite books is The Compound Effect, which Darren Hardy has a chapter and a half to that very thing. That's why we see agents that in their second year, they don't have to work any harder to double the results. It's the agent that makes 20 conversations, 20 contacts a day, every day, 240 times a year, and does that the second year. What the new agent doesn't understand is something called pipeline maturity. It's the compound effect of contacts.
Yes.
Is that you don't, it's hard to track this, it's hard to grasp this idea. But people you're talking to today might not convert for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 14 months, 18 months. And so the agent that does, call it 20 deals in their first year by having 20 conversations, the same output of energy, of work, can result into 40 transactions in their second year, can result in 60 transactions their third year. Not working any harder, but simply because the compound effect is working in the background, to your point.
Yeah,
well,
100%. You go ahead.
Go ahead. You.
No, I was just gonna say that you built out the millionaire blueprint, right?
Yeah.
You can do 30 contacts a day for 5 years. You'll be at $1 million a year. GCI,
That's right.
dependent on your average cost and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it just gets, people want to make it in 2 days. They want to be a millionaire, right? But it takes that time. And if you give it the time, you overestimate what you can do in a year, but you often underestimate what you can do in 3, 5, 10 years.